And so I grew up kind of like traipsing around the forest and always wanted to see the redwoods, and finally got to. It's so beautiful, the peace that's there. Of course, when you're around people who aren't like hiking so fast and gossiping so loud. I'm here to look at the trees. I don't care what's going on. Go to brunch. You know what I mean? Time and place.
At the CineQuest opening night after party, Jared Sprouse was decked out in an ostentatious stars and stripes suit to promote his new film, Party USA. And it certainly got my attention. As quirky as his outfit, his film took me on a roller coaster of emotions, oppressively bright, uncomfortably relatable, and punctuated by an unexpected darkness as the main character pinballs her way through the story, dealing with love, loss, and morality, trying desperately to stay true to herself while sacrificing for others. I invited Jared over for a chat about his film, and he brought his lead actor Ainsley Seiger to join me on the microphone. We spoke about their roots together in school, the struggle to keep it all together in a chaotic world, and how this whimsically macabre feature came together, one cicada at a time. And with that, please enjoy the show. Welcome back to the podcast. Thank you for joining me. Today with me are Jared and Ainsley of the wonderful film Party USA. So, let's chat about your amazing film. I just watched it last night. Thank you for the screener.
Yes.
That was I was mentioning to Jared that I have this great little setup here with like the nice, speakers and all that, because obviously we're a film company. So we screen things for ourselves, for our clients, and it's nice to have that here, but it isn't quite the same as being able to see something in the theater. So that's one of the nice things about film festivals when they come in, is that you get all of these independent films that you wouldn't necessarily see on TV or in a real theater, and you actually get to go see them in a real theater. So let's talk about that for a second. How was that?
Well, we haven't done our screening yet, so
Sorry, backing that up. So okay, so let's jump in. Why don't you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves? Jared, let's start with you.
Okay. My name's Jared Sprouse. I'm I would just say filmmaker behind Party USA, because well, it's a collaborative medium.
Yes.
But like, it just sounds ridiculous once you start listing out all the random titles.
Fair enough. I actually watched a short film. I'm a screener for another film festival, and I watched one of the films that came through, and it was really amusing because it was an animation a guy had been working on for like 5 years.
Yeah.
And the credits come up, and it was his name. On purpose, he did this to make us laugh, but it was just like 30 instances of his own name being, and I was like, okay, cute.
Wearer of many hats.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I think you kind of have to be, like, on an indie film and like a micro budget film. Like, you're asking people to spend their time working with you on these things, and you're not paying them what they should probably be being paid.
There's always that side of indie filmmaking.
That's the reality of it.
Ainsley, tell us about yourself.
I'm Ainsley Seiger. I am actor star of Party USA.
I would say yes.
Yeah.
You were the lead.
Yeah.
Star of Party USA. I play Taylor in the film. And I am super excited to be here in San Jose. It's my first time ever in the Bay Area, like around here. New York actor. Very excited to. I haven't seen the movie yet, so you've seen it before.
You haven't seen the movie yet?
I'm waiting until we get to see it in the theater, because to me, I've seen my own work on television before, right?
Yeah.
Which is like, you invite your friends over and you watch your TV show, and it's super cool and fun, but I love going to the movies. Huge pastime of mine. I love the movies. So the idea of getting to see it for the first time properly in a theater
Yeah.
is so exciting to me.
Yeah.
So I'm almost all of the not research that I've done, but kind of like brushing up on the talking points of the movie has been just rereading the script. As
That makes
opposed to-
sense. Yeah.
And looking at like old
Yeah.
behind the scenes photos and going like, oh, this is what we did on this day.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm really excited to finally get to see it.
Awesome. Well, that sounds pretty cool. I have, and unfortunately, as a director and producer, I've never not seen my film before it goes to play somewhere.
Yeah.
Of
So I don't
course.
quite
Yeah.
have that experience, but that sounds, I don't know, it sounds fascinating and scary and a little nerve-wracking.
Well, I've taken a break from it because I finished the thing
Right.
like October.
And I'm sure you've watched it about 3,400 times.
Up until October, yes. And then I watched it basically once in like December to like watch like the final thing with one of my producers and some other friends or whatnot, just to, okay, is the file correct? All right, we're all right, we're getting, and that was about it. So at least I can rewatch it through fresh eyes again a little bit.
Are you worried that, because I do this all the time, are you worried that you're going to go watch it and be like, oh, I should have done that, I should have changed that? Because I feel like every time I give my film a break, I end up being like, ooh, now I can see things that I didn't see last time because I was too in it for a while. And not that it's too late to change it now, but
well, it never. I mean, there are people that like during the festival run, they'll say like, "Oh, I make change." Like the Matt Johnson, I'm sorry, am I butchering the Nirvana the band show the movie?
Yeah.
He basically has just gone on record like, "Yeah, I change every festival. I change the cut.
Wow.
Every festival, and because he finds something different that he wants to do or something change and." I don't really want to do that for this movie. That's not the thing, I feel like most of the cuts I've done. Yeah.
Well, and at a certain point, I know in the corporate world, the corporate video or other types of work, people will be like better done than perfect.
Yes.
And I think there's a level of that also applies to filmmaking. And there's a travel show that I'm working on right now. We've got the pilot out, and I've got to do a couple more things for it. And we were kind of taking it's been a couple of months working on this now, and we realized looking forward, we're like, well, we're not gonna be able to do this normally because we're gonna like go to wherever this city is, go around to the couple places that we're planning to be that, get whatever footage we get, and come back with it. And there's no like flying back out to get new B-roll or whatever the case is. So we have to be a little more ready to be like, nope, that's done. That's what it is. So I respect that a lot, that you're like, no, I think this movie's done. Let's see what it is and move on to the next one. And I think that's another thing about filmmaking, right? Is like almost like life and death cycles where you're like, yes, you birth, live, die, and then cycle through to the next one. If people lived forever, we would get so boring.
Yeah. Well, and it's because we did lots of test screenings with things, and so like we didn't really do that many like straight pickups or whatnot. Yeah. But there was only like one suggestion that somebody did, and I was like, why didn't I do that instead? Why didn't I do that instead?
Did you? Did you go back and make that change?
No, because then I'd bring in actors and we'd shoot a whole nother scene.
Gotcha.
And I'm like,
well, I really enjoyed it. I'm always, it's a film festival. I have no idea what I'm going to be watching, and as a filmmaker myself, and as a rather picky one, I'm often like, that was okay, but I would have done this. And I found myself not doing that really with your film, to be perfectly frank.
Okay.
I really enjoyed, as I mentioned before you got here, Ainsley, I told Jared, I didn't actually even read the synopsis for it. I was just like, cool, he was the guy in the crazy suit, and he was excited about his film, and I said, cool, give me a screener. And I watched it, sight unseen last night, and was like, what is this film about? And it kept being, it kept taking one more step into the bizarre or into the crazy. And I was just like, okay, was not expecting that. Oh, okay. Really wasn't expecting that. And I mean, honestly, it opens with a sex scene, which was hilarious. And I was like, okay, where's this going? And then I hope this isn't too much giving away the first minute of the film. But, and then, Taylor gets the call, like, and you can kind of tell by the facial expressions before she even says anything, like somebody's died. Yeah. And I loved how that goes. And she's like, I'm sorry, I forget the lead male's name.
Damien is the character.
Damien. And he goes, why are you still writing me? And I loved it. Like, I don't know.
I was so
yeah.
And honestly, when I first when you first sent me the script,
Yeah.
I think I had just had like another friend of mine reach out like maybe a couple months prior to you reaching out to me and had sent me a script and I read through it and it was one of those experiences where it's like, I love you so much. How do I tell you that I don't think I want to be involved in this in the nicest way possible?
Yeah.
And so when you had reached out to me, it was like, we didn't really know each other
No,
before.
not really.
But I have that feeling of, I don't know if I could do this polite rejection thing again.
Mhm.
Going into it thinking it was going to be terrible, which, how rude. But I don't know what happened. I eventually was just like, screw it. Like, why you not? And read through the script and that first scene had me locked in for the rest of the movie.
That thank you for saying that. I think that's a huge important part of filmmaking.
It is.
So many filmmakers that I've worked with over the years don't quite get. Same with you, where I've got a lot of scripts. People will be like, "Oh, can you give me feedback?" And I'm like, good job. I don't know what else to say here.
Well, because writing's tough.
Yeah.
Writing is like the toughest thing,
But that first scene,
it's everything.
And there are older movies. There's an era where it was okay to just spend 20 minutes of your 70-minute film building up to something that was interesting. But it's really not that way anymore. You've really got to hook your audience. And it doesn't have to be a giant explosion, but it metaphorically kind of does have to be something that says, okay, let's go ahead and continue watching.
The lean in moment.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting reading scripts from an actor's perspective rather than from a writer's perspective or a filmmaker's perspective. That process of like, it's so much more character based. I find feeling attached to the characters that are being written about, and you do such a great job from the jump of getting us invested in the characters' lives and the world at large.
Do you feel as when you go to do that read, do you find yourself immediately gravitating towards a character, immediately starting to put yourself in their shoes, or is there more of a suss it out and kind of reread it again?
It's sort of it's a kind of like case by case basis.
Okay.
Especially if I find that if there are a lot of like, if I get an audition and it's like a lot of things line up in terms of this is something I've never done before, it kind of freaks me out to do it, but also I'm just reading the character breakdown and already I'm like, oh, I have that quality, or that's something that I know I'm really capable of portraying. And then going and reading the script, it kind of depends, but if I'm like with Party USA, if I'm kind of instantly hooked, it's really easy for me to read the script and imagine the character as myself.
Okay.
And go almost like when you read a book and you're reading The Hunger Games and you're like, I am Katniss. Yeah. I think that's my not process, but kind of how it works for me.
I feel like that's a good way of saying process.
Yeah.
Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about the film itself. Where did this idea come from? This was, like I said, kept hitting me and being like, what am I watching? What?
It's kind of an amalgamation of my 20s, honestly. But it's like, so years ago, like during COVID, I was like in the midst of this like breakup.
Yeah.
And both my grandparents passed away from COVID, like back to back. And I was like outside the bubble. And so I was like handling their like stuff with like funeral sort of things, which felt very in over your head at like 25.
Yeah.
Doing that because like everyone else is like sick and then, can't really do much. But, and I had spent a long time, and I still do, just working in hospitality.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay.
And, but mostly in restaurants, not really retail. But I was talking to my friend Barrett, and he had worked at Party City for like a couple summers or whatnot, like in community college. And I was like, there's something like to that's like almost, well, on one hand, for micro budget, I'm like, oh, retail's dead. You know, like
Yeah.
I don't need a bunch of extras. It's like a few main characters. It's like I could build a story inside this like party store
Yeah.
that basically uses my experience working in restaurants within this party store, and do it, you know, with from my experience making other films before, like relatively easily. I mean,
Yeah.
film's really tough, but
Film is tough
yeah,
in general.
yeah,
Don't
yeah,
worry. You can
yeah,
say it's a little
yeah.
easier to do it this way.
It's
Yeah.
but it's like, all right. So then I wrote the thing kind of well, because initially, honestly, I just had the idea for the first scene.
Oh, okay.
I had the idea for the first scene, and I was like, that's interesting. What happens after that?
Yeah.
And then I thought of all this other things, and then it sort of spirals into
That's
you know,
awesome. I
yeah,
like the way
yeah.
that it wasn't this huge, completely fleshed out
No.
story in your head. It was like, huh, and then they do this.
And honestly, even like I think probably during production, it became a fireworks store. You know, like it wasn't really written as a fireworks store.
Yeah.
And and even in post production, it became even more American with like the music that we put in there that wasn't written into so it like, but it all kind of fit like thematically within the story.
Yeah.
So I was like kind of down for it, and
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, we walked in there and there were so many fireworks. It was sort of like, okay, I guess we have to
Yeah,
do a
it has
fireworks
well because the whole thing, it leads up to the 4th of July, you know, the client. And it was like I was like, okay, yes, it makes sense. It's a fireworks and party store, and like it's a little bit of both. And
Yeah.
yeah.
So, is that a store you guys rented and they were like, sure, just use the place, or?
Yes and no. So I mean, the Georgia Film Office has like basically just a list of locations.
Okay.
Like where you can go through. So I went through and I found somebody that was listing their party store, like, or their fireworks store, or whatnot, and on the thing. And I drove by there one day and it was like completely closed down.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's okay. Well, let me call him. And you know, he picks up and he's like, oh gosh, I don't remember. I'm gonna butcher it. I can't remember his name. But it's, hi, this is Handy. Let's blow some stuff up. And I'm like,
Great opening line. Yeah.
yeah. And I'm like, oh hey, you know. And then he used to be an actor, and so they're only open for the 4th of July.
Ah, okay.
So they have all their inventory.
Kind of like the Halloween Spirit store.
Yeah,
It comes
exactly.
around.
It's like small town Georgia, so they don't need to be open. I mean, other than like New Year's Eve.
No, but that's like a perfect situation
Exactly.
for a film where you're like,
Exactly.
cool, you're closed 6 months of the year, great.
And
Like,
and they have all their inventory
Yeah.
and everything. It's just, it was kind of just made so much sense, you know. And then you hear the story, like the classic stories of like Clerks, where they like shot overnights in like a business that's open during the days, and you're just like, oh god.
The last couple times I've shot in a
I
bar,
can't
it
do
was
that.
like, cool, so you guys are going to come in at 3 a.m. or
Yeah,
4 a.m.
yeah.
After everyone's completely shut down. You're going to shoot till 9 a.m. and then we start doing our open for the next thing, and it's like, oh.
And like I said, I've been managing restaurants for a long time, and I've had location people come up to me and be like, "Hey, would you be?" And I'm like doing the math in my head, and it's like, the amount that we're going to do in sales, you should shoot on a soundstage. You know?
Yeah.
So you just it does not make any sense.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that's the struggle is real, especially on I'm sure our level of budgets. I won't make you tell the audience what you actually spent on it, but I'm sure it was a pittance compared to what the average movie gets to put together. And knowing that, the quality of this film was really top notch. I don't mean this in a bad way. I mean, I was a little surprised because you know, I know indie films, I know what they cost, and I know what you can get accomplished sometimes. But your cinematography was great. Everything, you know, your lighting was good, and I like the fact that the lighting really lent itself. There was so much like overly cheery, like everything is bright, and we're in a store, and we're, you know, it was just a lot of like. I almost felt. I mean, I not felt like it did lend itself to the characters and become kind of part of the story there. How did you settle on the style, the way you shot this?
Yeah. So I brought my cinematographer Sims on pretty early on into the project, and his role just continued to grow and grow, and he's a producer on the project as well. But our first conversation that we had, we were like, the camera doesn't matter for this.
Okay.
Let's just find whatever we can get the best deal possible on.
Okay.
And that's what we're going to shoot it, because I want to put the money in front of the camera rather than behind it.
What did you end up shooting it on?
We shot on a Sony Venice.
Oh, okay. That's still pretty decent camera.
Yeah, it's a really good camera.
Yeah.
We only got it basically because he works as a film loader in Atlanta, and he knows all the Panavision people, and he was like, "What's sitting on the shelf for this month?" Okay, great.
Yeah.
That's what we use, you know.
Awesome.
But yeah, and then it was just, I mean, we referenced a lot of different retail films.
Yeah.
I mean, I sent her a bunch of films that sort of somewhat inspired tonally and with the character, but also the visual style.
I have to ask.
Yeah.
Did Cloud9 Superstore influence this at all?
I've never seen it.
Oh, wow.
I've
Okay.
You know, what does influence that though is Party Down.
Okay.
Party.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Yeah.
and Party Down, Always Sunny in Philadelphia,
Yeah.
the Coen Brothers, and
I will
Yeah,
say, out of
yeah.
all of those, I think there is definitely a level of Coen Brothers to this
Yeah,
that you
yeah,
picked. It's
yeah.
definitely your film.
Yeah,
but there was
yeah.
definitely a lot of like, it was real life, normal life, in a fucked up world. All right,
Yeah.
and so let's shift to that a little bit.
Yeah.
This was almost a thriller, right?
Yes,
Level of,
yeah, almost. It's. Well, I was a little surprised with the CineQuest. You know, when they put you on the all right, here's a category, and they put us in comedy. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, and then I scroll down. I'm like, oh, we're under thriller too. All right,
Yeah.
They're sweet. You know.
What?
Yeah.
How did that part of this come together? How did you decide to go so dark with something that was also so bright?
Yeah, it just made, I don't know, it just made sense to me, like with the I like I don't know how much I want to go into like the plot details of
right.
things, but there's certain like violent developments that are made in the plot
Yeah.
that other films maybe touch on or make a joke about but never
Yeah.
actually go for.
Yeah.
And I was like, why don't we just like actually do that thing that other films are like, oh, we can't, you know, can't, that's and then use, and it almost becomes like something. It's like you're like, I think I've seen this before, but I haven't seen this before.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Well, and it provided a lot of good pacing and break, right? Because
Yeah.
you don't
Yeah.
dumb it down, or you don't ham it up during
Yeah.
those violent moments. They're very visceral.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
as much as a lot of this plot was very like, oh Lord, like it's also identifiable. Like a long time ago, I worked retail. I worked
Yeah,
at a gas
yeah.
station / convenience store.
Yeah.
And honestly, that came to mind. Was like, man, I probably could have made a movie like this about that place and
Yeah.
all the shenanigans and idiocy, but adding that level of like dark violence that really shaped, and that kind of kept me going. I didn't know where it was going, and then that first incident happens, and you're like, oh no, this is. At first, I was like, is this going to be a dream she had? Nope. Okay. This is where we're going with it.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
I want to know what happens next.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Um,
Well, and I think that contrasts so much with the actual, like having it be bright. Like I think it's kind of makes the darker elements darker because like we see people like when you see like propaganda or whatnot, it's always like the bright, like this might get a little weird, but like you go into like Nazi propaganda, like they're like, it's all really bright people and like well lit and like everyone looks pretty and it's all like sort of done.
yeah,
you know?
to the point of almost like painfulness, right?
Yes,
and I
yeah.
think that's what I
It's
really
eerily.
once I realized there was this really dark thread, I was like, now the brightness is even more contrast with this, and it's like it's helping fuel my like. There's this. I keep saying the word darkness, but there's this evil underlying surface, and we don't know where it's going to go. And I want to feel bad for this character, but at the same time, the decision making is not.
I know. And you know what's interesting too is like working in New York, there's always this the adage is like New York City is a character when you shoot in New York, you know?
Yeah,
He says
yeah,
that.
yeah.
And I think to a certain degree, I'm from North Carolina. I think that the sun in the South,
Yeah,
particularly in the summer, is such a character in the sense that like that oppressive heat, you walk outside and you know how much time it's going to take for you to get a killer sunburn. So it's like I gotta get inside, but this like that brightness that you're
Mhm.
speaking of, I think, is so it's so characteristic
Yeah.
of the South
Yeah.
and this kind of that misery that you
Yeah.
feel sometimes in the summer, you
hmm
know.
Well, and then like heck, I love cicadas, you know, and
Oh
like
Lord,
I love
yeah.
cicadas and I love the sounds of cicadas and
The
like
soundtrack they leave in
pe-
the film
yeah,
and in the world,
yeah,
right?
they're in the film and in the world, you know, like at night, and that was one of the things too, like talking with like the sound people and whatnot. But you know, when people aren't ever visiting the South and they come here, they're like, "What is that?" Like, they
Oh my God. I shot, I co-wrote and co-directed a family comedy series in Beijing this summer.
Mhm.
And it's the same thing there. It is beginning of August. It is the most oppressive, humid heat in
Hmm.
ever.
Mhm.
And the entire, like, we're on a soundstage. It was a backlot type place. So because we needed to shoot in a house and everything was in this house, and it was much easier to actually rent a backlot for it. But right outside the backlot is this huge like orchard. And so like you open the door and it's, you know, with the cicadas,
Yeah, yeah.
and they're oppressive to the point that any shot we did outside, we're like we can't salvage the audio from this.
Oh.
That it is so loud, and they're omnipresent, right,
Mhm.
from
Mhm.
morning to night, and I can't imagine having to shoot in that again, although I
Mhm.
probably will. But adding it back in
Mhm.
because it is a soundtrack.
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk about the soundtrack. That was another thing that really I was there were and not just the soundtrack, but like how sound played a really big
Yeah.
part as far as the lack of soundtrack. At so many points,
Yes,
I
yes.
found myself a few times being like, I don't think we've had music in
Mhm.
this for a while, but I don't, and just more of as a filmmaker being
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, note.
Yeah.
But it was like, and it didn't bother me at all.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
sometimes you really got to have music to everything in your film. But I
Yeah.
think actually a lot of times the lack of music really helps stay focused on the moment, and really it gave you, I don't know, it set the tone, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
how did you
yeah.
guys go through that, and how did you
Mhm.
figure that out?
Well, I would separate the music into the two like, you know, there's the score and then there's the soundtrack that's in the store
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember telling like Ainsley or whatnot, like on set, I was like, I don't really know if we need score for this. Like, it's not, because I think people use score as a crutch a
Yeah.
little bit sometimes to help. I mean, it can be a
Oh,
huge
absolutely.
benefit to like help and elevate a story.
Yeah.
But to me, almost the dry sort of dramedy elements, you know, would be more heightened
Yeah.
without any music at all.
Yeah.
And the only, like, there is some score in there, but it's really almost to underline specific beats and
It's
moments,
exactly what I
you
took from
know?
that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. With that score, like, this is going to sound weird, but like, I was mostly influenced by like Kieślowski films from the 90s.
I have to refresh my Lasky
So
films.
he's a Polish director
Okay.
who made the Three Colors trilogy and the Decalogue and
I'm
any
I'm I'm I'm
there,
bad. I'm a
there's
bad film nerd right
you're
now.
good. There's a flute that's like in it. Most of his
Okay.
films are about like sad, lonely women,
Okay.
you know, and like the flute in there has this kind of like eternal like kind of thing where it's like kind of timeless, you
Yeah.
know, but also roots you to like nature a little bit at the same
Okay.
time. So I basically just told my composer like, that flute there, like, let's take that and like put that like little beat in there. Um, and then there's the music of the
Right.
store, right?
The song that Taylor can't stand.
Yes,
that almost
we
that
which
almost oh go ahead.
we did change. We did
Oh, okay.
change. Yeah, we
Yeah.
did change.
Well, and I think
Yeah.
that's an important factor. Like
Mhm.
you as an actor, you didn't have to know what that song was necessarily to be annoyed by it.
Yeah.
Knowing that it
Yeah.
will be coming later, it was just the annoyance. And I think sometimes I was watching a film recently, and one of my critiques of it was that they referenced, you know, local things and zeitgeist way too much, and I was like, that's not going to last long in your film. In 3 months, that's going to be out of date. And you don't want to necessarily do that. You want to keep things a little more. It's weird to say this. You want to keep your references a little more generic, your script a little bit more generic in terms of the way the dialogue talks, so that it can be a little more timeless. And I think just being annoyed with that song, definitely it felt right. Not knowing you didn't know the song.
Well, I mean, we had it. The song was specific in the script.
In the script, it was.
There was a specific song that we had wanted to use.
Yeah.
But I remember really early on in the process talking to you about it, and you were like, "This is not like set in stone whatsoever. It probably will change." But what was helpful was knowing the song that had been like planned, for lack of a better word, was just being able to pick up on like the vibe, I guess, of the song. And
It was. I'm assuming it was as bright and ridiculous as the lighting.
Yes.
Really, really storm music.
Just
knowing that was kind of the tone that was we were aiming for was really easy to access that, like, please God, don't make me hear this. And as human beings, we all have those songs that you go to the grocery store and you're like, if I hear this top 40 hit one more time.
I know everyone loves Christmas music. There are like 2 Christmas songs I can stand, and the rest of them I'm just like, please get through the season.
Yeah.
I had to reprogram the jukebox where I work at so I wouldn't like kill Billy Joel.
You're like, I'm so sorry, those ones don't work anymore. My
That's
bad.
what I tell people. That's what I tell people.
That's so good.
So, Ainsley, speaking of that song, there was definitely when I first saw the again, trying to avoid too much giveaway here because we will probably get this out tonight so people can hear and listen before the actual. Is this your premiere?
This is our premiere.
This is your premiere. Okay.
Yeah.
So that song. I first saw the kind of the boxing up of the drywall, and I was like, "Is this? There's an element of Telltale Heart to this, is there not?" Did that song play a little bit in that way, like because she gets more and more and more annoyed with the song, and kind of it's rage baiting her, and
I had never really thought about that, but there is for sure an element of like I am being haunted. That thing of when you pay too much attention, when you give too much attention over to something, you find it more and more and more. It keeps coming back to you. And I think the fact that annoyance becomes so much more heightened after this traumatic event is absolutely related to the event itself, and almost like less about the song than it is about, oh, this is a reminder of that really terrible, horrible, no good, very bad thing that I did. I hadn't even thought about the Telltale Heart. That's such a
it was like
it
as soon as I saw him like boxing up the wall again, I was like, is that? I was wondering, like, is he actually going to do a little thump or something like that? And are we going to get a little hint of that? But I'm glad. I will say, I'm glad you just kind of went with your direction on it because there's referencing other great works, and then there's overdoing it. It can be very easily done. So let's switch from the dark part of it for a moment and to the other side of it. Ainsley, your character Taylor is going through a lot of stress. There's the father has just died. She's got a sick or somewhat invalid mother, a moronic brother who cannot get his act together. And at the same time, I think it's interesting with that brother that we see through it. There's a lot of this push and pull. I think you guys put so much relatableness into this, where I think so many people can relate to all the different things. Being somebody on the minimum wage junket. Working in was probably kind of a dead-end town at a dead-end job, and trying to figure out what to do with your life, wanting to leave your life and go find a better one for yourself, but also not wanting to abandon your family. So a lot of really dark or really deep themes here. How did that affect you? Were there any parts of this character that you related to?
Yeah, I mean, I I'm really close with my family. I have a younger sister, so I never knew what it was like to have a brother, but I know that feeling of like I'm older than you, I know better than you,
Yeah.
listen to me.
Yeah.
Um, and the I think what was so compelling to me about Taylor as a character is that I mean this whole wanting to leave, wanting to go to school, like nursing school, all of this, there's so much tied to her character through that and through her relationship to her family that suggests that she's a person who ultimately wants to help people.
Yeah.
And this utter lack of being able to do that is so fascinating and really fun to get to play. Being this person who I'm striving and I want to help people, but also when I get stressed, bad things happen and I do bad things.
Yeah.
But I mean I relate very much to this, just the idea of being from and living in a small town and feeling stuck and feeling responsible for your family is I think a something that a lot of people from the South can relate to, especially being in smaller towns and like the place where I live, it's like my whole family is there. And being able to realize at what point is it okay to let go and pursue your own. I
Yeah.
even went to college in North Carolina as well. So the UNCSA was, an hour and a half away from where I grew up. And I was one of those kids who was like, I want to go to New York City. And I was very like, I really wanted my college experience to be like an episode of Glee. And I'm so glad that I didn't do that because there's nothing to do in Winston-Salem except to really focus on the craft.
We just made movies. That's
Yeah,
all we did.
Exactly. You go to the studio, you do a play, and you do your acting, and you go home. But I think what's really incredible about all of the characters, honestly, Taylor specifically, I think, because I just feel closer to that experience. But I think what's so amazing about them is you've done such a great job at making them really human and very real in a
Yes.
kind of in very outlandish situations and what feels like I think to most people a very outlandish world. But they're so they wouldn't be interesting to watch if they didn't make the decisions that they made.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
think Farai and I
Yeah.
were talking about it in an interview the other day, just that these are people who make a lot of decisions that we as normal people feel like, well, I would never do that. So it's frustrating, but otherwise there wouldn't be a movie.
Very true. Very true. I mean, one
Mhm.
sec.
I'm being paranoid. I just want to make sure that you're okay. I was like, I'm going to keep this by me to make sure that
The thing
Ainsley's
doesn't die.
microphone is still recording.
Yeah.
Because now that we've got all this great content, it was like, it would be tragic if I had to use AI robustly to figure out how to get your voice
enhance
back. Which I've had to do on this several times. Like, I swear to God, it feels like every single time I do one of these, something goes wrong. Somebody's mic cuts out, somebody's whatever. And the first time I did this, actually, I had these little Rode mics, and I didn't even have these. This was like 2 years ago. And I just put little lavs on, and they're supposed to record on board to the microphone. And there had just been an update that I had updated them and had turned off the onboard recording, and I didn't realize it. And I was like, and I was just using my iPhone instead of like a real camera, and I didn't bother plugging them into the iPhone. So I was like, no, it'll be fine. We'll be fine. We'll sync it up later. And I got done, and I was like, well, mine recorded, but theirs two didn't. So like the first couple of episodes of this, if you ever go back and watch them, you'll be like, wow, it's a little tinny, or sometimes the word cuts out here and there. It's because I used like the beginnings of podcasting AI to like enhance, please
Yeah.
make this work again.
Yeah.
And
Get rid of
it's-
all the hums. Yeah.
well, and it goes beyond that. It actually, it will like make you sound like you're in a radio room, but if you're far enough away and your microphone is crappy enough, it's like, I did my best.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, back to this. So great discussion so far. I don't want to keep you guys forever, so let's move to the last third of the show.
Sure.
Let's talk about what's coming up next for both of you. Ainsley, you actually, I did not realize this because I didn't do any research. But you are on or have been on 4 seasons of Law and Order, so you are already a storied actor that many people should know.
Story, please. I love it.
So what's coming up next for you?
Honestly, I'm in New York. I'm just doing a lot of auditioning right now, and I think waiting to hear if the show gets picked up for a 6th season.
Oh, what?
We've nobody
Nobody ever knows. Yeah.
Nobody ever knows. It's been a hot minute, but I am, as of right now, I'm kind of just auditioning and really putting my nose to the grindstone. And
Are you looking into more independent stuff like this?
yeah, I hesitate to say willing to do anything because that makes it sound like, look at me, he's so humble, stooping to the level of indie film.
No, if
But
something interesting comes along.
yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
I mean, making this movie was some of the most fun I've ever had working on a project, and so to get to do that again would be so exciting. And I just love movies, and to get to make them now is so exciting. So
Let me. I know I said we're gonna move in this. How did you? I wanted to ask this earlier anyway.
Yeah.
How did you decide to do this movie? Like, how did that happen?
well, Jared had reached out to me, and we went to the same school, but we
Yeah.
never really
Didn't know
crossed
each other. Yeah.
paths in like a notable
Yeah.
way.
So each other on the
And
quad sometime.
Oh, I think we only I think I was a senior when she was a freshman
like
or
a
a
Oh, okay.
sophomore,
at
like a
least
year or
1 or 2
two.
years
Yeah.
of crossover at school.
Yeah.
And the first couple years at UNCSA, at least for me, when I came into school, I was like, all the other schools I applied to were musical theater schools.
Mm.
I was like going to be, I wanted to be on Broadway. Like that was my whole thing. And then I'm this random kid at this acting school being asked, actually don't sing for the first 2 years of school and be a better actor. And I was
Oh.
really confused as to why I was there. So my first couple years at school, I was not, film and TV was not something that was on my radar at all. And I really didn't reach out to or know anyone in the film school until around 3rd, 4th year, when it started to feel like maybe a possibility or like something fun to do on the side when I'm
Yeah.
doing a play. So Jared had reached out to me and was like, I wrote this movie. I think you'd be great in this part if you want to read it. And it took me a while to get back to him. But I
As we heard a
finally
little
did.
earlier, right?
Yeah, finally did, and read the script, and I think I read it at like record pace. even for me.
I was very
I was
surprised. I sent
so
it to her and
fast.
she texted me like an hour later or
Wow.
something.
Okay.
I
You
read
know?
it so fast. I mean, when I say I was locked in, I was locked
Yeah.
in.
It's a good
And
sign.
Yeah.
it was one of those reading experiences where the first scene really hooks you, and then everything, just the domino effect of the script itself had me like needing to know what came next, and I felt really bowled over by the end of the film, and reached back out, and I was like, you know what, I would do anything to do this movie. I hadn't read anything
Yeah.
like it, and I felt like I think it's really important to be able to, as an actor, use your discernment to say, like, I know that I could be really great at this. I
Yeah.
know that this is
Yeah.
something I
Yeah.
could do. And at the same time, it really frightens me. It really scares me
It's like
to
a great place
think
to be.
of doing it.
Yeah.
And to have this, like, I felt a lot of like expectations were high, but it's an exciting place to be
Yeah.
because I think it really pushes you
Yeah.
to be not just better, but to be your best and just
Yeah.
really bring it.
Yeah.
And
It's a challenge, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I had never done I mean, I had done a short before, but I had never done a feature.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it also felt really right to do this movie specifically with somebody who is, I know it's from UNCSA. And so a lot of it felt just really perfectly aligned.
Yeah.
And I reached out pretty instantly to my team, and I was like, I'm doing this movie.
Make it happen.
I don't really care about anything. Like, I could show up on set and, you don't have to pay me. You could throw dirt in my face at the end of every day. I'm like, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Jared, that sounds like an amazing
Yeah,
endorsement.
it is.
Your side of that.
I guess from which, from bringing her on?
Yeah,
or
like
from...
how did you decide to reach out to Ainsley for this?
Well, I wrote it. I didn't really write it with anybody specific in mind.
Okay.
I wrote it thinking there has to be somebody I know, or like that's a friend of a friend, or something like that is from the South.
Yeah.
That kind of understands his character and has that little like dark soul character, but that they can encapsulate. And so, because it's, I mean, so much of it is just inspired by myself in a lot of ways, but. And then after I think the first draft or something, I was like talking to a friend, and he's like, "Oh yeah, just reach out to Ainsley." And I was like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense. Great. All right. yeah, that's perfect. Yeah." And at that point, and I was familiar with her, but not like I mean, I haven't seen every season of Law and Order. I'm sorry. It's so I watched a little bit of the show, and then I saw like the short film she did, and I was like, actually, no, she can do it. Yeah. And
Look at that judgment over there.
Yeah, she's
Makes me so
yeah.
happy.
Well, there's very few. It's like finding somebody that's the right sort of age range, and also has that. It's kind of a character that has it has a little bit of like the masculine and the feminine too, in like their traditional roles, and it kind of bucks a lot of that. So it's like I have to find somebody that can kind of do a little bit of that too. I think, and that makes it a little tougher to find. Yeah.
Cool. Well, we know what's coming up next for you. Continuing in the television and movie, excuse me, continuing on the television and movie world. We will wait with bated breath, I'm sure. We will find out very soon. What is it? I'm suddenly blanking on the term. What is we will find out on IMDb very soon. Whatever is coming up next for you.
Yeah.
Jared, what's coming up next for you?
Well, we're playing the Atlanta Film Festival.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So premiered here,
today. Premiere here, and then we're going to play the Atlanta Film Festival next month,
which is almost kind of like going home for this movie.
It is. Yeah. It is. So that'll be a lot of fun. We'll there's some Georgia filmmakers that I've been talking to about the project, and that'll be a lot of fun. Cool. I've been writing. I've dusted off this old script a while back, and I'm sort of in the middle of reworking it, and it's
as you should be,
as I should be, because I've developed a lot since 5 years ago.
Good.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not continuing to grow and learn about your craft until you die, I think that's
important.
Yeah. So, cool. Last thing I'd like to have you guys do is. Other filmmakers are watching this for sure. So if you had any advice for other filmmakers to provide on their craft, on how to get a movie made, on how to find somebody amazing to be their lead, go.
Does Ainsley want to go first, or should I go first?
That was a challenge. All right. So,
well, it's tough because the only reason I was able to do this is because I had produced a film of a similar size before, and I understood kind of how all the mechanics of things worked
Yeah.
and what didn't work about that one. And before that, I had made like $2,000 features in college
Yeah.
that weren't any good, and like some other short films and
Yeah.
stuff.
That's how you learn.
And so I think it's important to do those types of projects, but at the same time, you don't want to get heartbroken when like
Don't do your baby first, right?
like no, you're still developing your voice at 21.
Yeah.
I think Well, and it's been the great thing about this festival too. I see people, and granted, I'm 30. I know I don't. Which is still really young, I know, but I've been at this festival, and it's like I see people like with their short film that are like 21 or 22,
Yeah.
and then they're talking about the proof of concept for the feature sort of thing, and it's like I still see the light in their eyes a little bit, and it's just it's really I think instead of you can't sit around and wait. I think it's better to just try something and then you fall on your face and you find out why you fell on your face and then you try it again. Because then once you at least develop a little bit, I think, I don't know, you don't want to burn bridges,
No.
and you don't want to make promises you can't keep.
That's
So
a really big one.
It's not worth it to, reach out to, you want to work with people at your own level a little bit.
Yeah.
And so it's like reaching out to those sorts of people before so you can all learn together and then
Yeah.
sort of work
I feel
it
like
a little
that's probably how it started for me and most of the people I know.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Shoot, I'd had a really good point based on something you just
Yeah.
said I was going to. Oh, and as far as the light in people's eyes, I'm actually working with a woman who's a 63-year-old writer right now. This will be her first short film.
Oh,
And the
nice.
light is definitely glowing in her eyes
That's
the entire time.
that's
So,
pretty.
yeah.
That's pretty. Yeah.
21 or 61, I think at any point it is my advice also for a lot of people is, especially to myself who's now 43 and feeling like, man, I'm not where I wanted to be.
Yeah.
Is you don't have to quit. You don't have to think like I didn't make it by this age.
Exactly.
I didn't do the thing by this age. It's okay. You can keep going, and it is definitely a possibility.
Well, especially as a writer, like I think really the toughest thing about being a writer in your like early 20s or your teens is like you just don't have that much to talk about other than like coming of age movies about teenagers in like college or high school.
Yeah.
And there are some really good versions of those movies, but it's trying to do something that's your own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. I have kind of been reckoning with a similar kind of the actor's version of that, which is like I'm 27 again, still young.
Yeah.
But have been kind of grappling with the actor feeling of like, am I about to age out of being able to play an 18-year-old? Oh, no. I'm going to age out of being able to play an 18-year-old, which is what everybody wants to see these days, apparently, looking at you, Euphoria. But I have been, talking to like my manager a lot about it, and he has like a list of like my favorite female actresses who he's like didn't have success until she was 34, didn't have success until she was this age.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
grappling with like, it doesn't all have to happen
At once.
right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
And I think, well, my advice would be if you're looking to find like that, that perfect person for your movie, hire me. I'm available.
Great advice.
Thank you. But I think so much more to the point of like, I guess, advice for filmmakers or actors too is that like it doesn't all have to happen right now. As hard as it is to trust, and it's so much easier to say than it is to listen to your own words, but like it's it's unfolding.
Yeah.
You're on the path that you're supposed to be on, and I think the beautiful thing about having no expectations is that it really opens your, I won't even say your work, but your life to be able to do a project like this.
Yeah,
Like for
yeah.
me, I was like, I'm not tied to anything outside of like the network job, and that leaves me open to pursue things that I want to do for fun outside of it. And I think what you were talking about your voice is not done,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
being willing to fall on your face.
Mhm.
I had it is so it's so humbling to have had my greatest career success right out of drama school on like network TV, where I feel like I watch some of the episodes back sometimes and I'm like, wow, I'm failing in front of America every week on Thursday nights. Um and but like what a gift to be able to have had the experience of making it and then being able to watch it, and as you age, knowing that you like just because you got the job didn't mean you were done. Like you're never
Yeah.
Yeah.
ever done.
Yeah.
And having the what's the word I'm looking for? Not adaptability, but
Resilience,
I
maybe?
guess that maybe the openness to
Mm.
understand that like you should always be working from a place of beginner's mind, and like you
Mhm.
don't have
Okay.
to
Yeah,
know
yeah,
anything.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing about this industry is like there's no qualifications, right? You just kind of
Mhm.
like
Hi, I'm a filmmaker.
nobody's like, Ainsley, where's your acting degree? Like,
Yeah,
can you
yeah.
bring that to set, please, tomorrow? I
Exactly.
need to
We need to
verify
verify.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so like my resume can look however my resume looks, and
Yeah.
then have this like backlog of episodes on TV and movies, but what it
Mhm.
all comes down to is like when I'm in the audition room or when I'm like doing a reading with
Yeah.
people, how good am I at just listening and doing on the day? Like
Yeah.
it is not about what you've done before. It's always just about like right
Yeah.
now,
hmm
which is I think the challenge is just to be open to whatever right
Yeah.
now is.
And I think taking your time too. It's like
Mm.
this. I started work. I thought up the idea for the first scene in November of 2021.
Oh, wow. Okay. And how long did it take you to get to the?
It took me about a year and a half to write it
Okay.
because I was working full-time jobs, and
Yep.
you get burnt out with your mind and you have to like
too.
rearrange it. So
Yeah.
then it took me a year and a half, and then after that it took me like another year plus to like kind of find the right sort of key team members, and then do pre-production, and then another year to do post-production.
Yeah.
So like it just takes time, and it's
Yeah.
kind of okay. I think it's good to be purposeful.
Yeah.
There's so many movies made now. I mean, at CineQuest,
Yeah.
which we're premiering, I was talking to the programmer, over 1,200 feature films were submitted.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so, and I think 50 are playing.
Something like
some
that, yeah.
feature films.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact numbers, but and you really have to do something to very purposeful and
Absolutely.
to stand out.
Yeah, we for the short film festival I work for, I think they get about 1,500
Yeah.
submitted, and we show 90 to 100 of them.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, and we have to select. We have to be very selective, and it's filmmaking is a business. It's an art.
Mhm.
The goal is to entertain other people, even more so than I think almost any expression of art. I heard somebody talk about, art for art's sake the other day when it came to filmmaking. I said, you can do, the Andy Warhol version of filmmaking, but realistically, for most of us, we get into this art form not just to express ourselves. A painter may be like, I paint to express myself, and
Mhm.
sure, it's great if I go to a gallery and I show off my paintings, but I don't need that necessarily. Whereas with filmmaker, I think our goal is to get feedback from the audience.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
very, very specific relationship that we
Mhm.
create with this art form. So, yeah.
I love gasps. I
Yeah.
I liked that I heard gasps in my test
Yeah.
screenings.
Just
Yeah.
sitting in the audience in the
Yeah.
back and hearing that laugh when they're supposed to laugh. And
Yeah.
being like,
Yeah.
"Yes."
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
funny because I think probably the reason I'm so excited to wait to see the movie in the theater is because I grew up doing theater.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That
Yeah. Yeah.
the immediateness of having a live audience when you are on stage doing the play,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you can hear the gasps when they're supposed to gasp.
Yeah.
The last play I did like cabaret a couple of years ago, and at the end of Act 1, there's this big reveal that like somebody that you have grown to love is actually a Nazi,
Yeah.
and the moment of, oh, that kind of like ripples from the audience is like it's so delicious to get to experience live and in your butt. So I think it's like a need to be close to that feeling that is what has me so excited about seeing the movie with a bunch of people
Awesome.
first time.
Well, I look forward to, if I'm not there in the theater with you, I look forward to hearing about it perhaps afterwards. But I know you guys are going to enjoy that experience. Thank you so much for being with me today. This has been a very, very, very fun conversation, and I can't wait to get this out tonight and promote your film.
No, appreciate it. No, absolutely. Thanks for having us.
That's our show. We'll see you next time. This has been another episode of The Shortcut Podcast. If you're listening early enough, you can find Jared Sprouse's Party USA playing on the festival circuit. And if it's been a while since you tuned in, you may instead be looking for Party USA on your favorite streaming platform. I'd like to thank our friends at CineQuest for providing us with the opportunity to bring you this episode. And I'd like to thank you, the audience, for tuning in. You can find more about the festival at cinequest.org and on their social channels of the same name. My name is Christopher Lee Denise. You can find me on Instagram as @LocalCinematic and @TheShortcutPod, on YouTube as The Local Cinematic, and in real life, wherever great films are being screened. Thanks again for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.